Welcome to Worship Leader Hangout, where we talk about many aspects of leading worship and leading a worship team. Today we're going to talk about, what are we talking about? Vocal rehearsal. All right. Today we're going to talk about how to lead a vocal rehearsal. Now this is one thing that I've actually been needing to learn and do better, because we actually just separated our vocal and band rehearsals, and we have a separate vocal rehearsal for a solid hour, while the band does a solid hour rehearsal as well. And we've been wanting to structure that rehearsal in a way that is very effective, so that when they come down and join us, we run through the set list. I mean, it sounds spot on. And I wanted to talk to David about that a little bit, and he's going to explain how he does vocal rehearsals and how he sees those best.
Yeah, so something I do before the rehearsal even begins is everybody gets their music, most likely 2 weeks in advance, if it's a new song especially, all right? And the vocals, they all get vocal files only of their parts. And how I do that is, currently I'm using Sibelius, and I am putting the vocal parts in Sibelius, so I write them in Sibelius, and then Sibelius records that audio file for me, and I put that audio file online, and they have access to that audio file.
So they're just hearing the note.
They're hearing the note, and because it's in Sibelius, they can see where that note is being played with the word. Okay. All right. So that's a little complicated for a lot of people. And what I was doing before that was I would actually just have a female come up during the week, and she would record the soprano and alto parts using GarageBand, and then I would record all the tenor parts, and we would kind of go from that. I used to record all the soprano and alto parts by myself and the tenor parts, and I sounded like a girl, and it wasn't pretty or nice. So we got a little better at doing that. So they get all their audio files 2 weeks before we're going to even practice or rehearse that song, so they become familiar with it. All right. And so a big part about doing the vocal rehearsals for the leader is understanding the structure of what they want. Where do you want the team to sing in unison? Where do you want them to sing in their parts? All right. And so you need to establish that structure. Well, when I'm in rehearsal, I give them their parts. I don't ask them, do you know it, or anything like that. I assume that they don't, even though I expected them to come knowing their parts. I give them their parts, and then I spend maybe a minute or two going over that part with each section. So the altos, I'm going to go over their part about 3 or 4 times, the sopranos about 3 or 4 times, and then the tenors about 3 or 4 times. Once we're done with that, I begin to have them sing their parts together. So I have the altos and the sopranos maybe sing their parts together. And another thing I'm listening for how are they all articulating their words, okay? We were talking about canons, and has "You are holy, great and mighty, the moon and the stars declare who you are. I'm so unworthy, still you love me. Forever my heart will sing of how great you are." And some people say "chu are" or they say "you are." I try to have them sing the same phrasing of a word. The reason is you're trying to sound as clean as possible on Sunday morning, all right? And so I listen a lot for phrasing. Another thing I'm listening for is dynamics, all right? I don't want the singers loud the entire time when they're singing the song, and I don't want them soft the entire time when they're singing the song. So a lot of times we try to have times where there's no music when we're playing on Sunday mornings, and I want to make sure that when that's that time, a lot of times they're not belting it right there, but that they're real soft. All right. Another thing I listen for are embellishments. I don't want anybody embellishing when they're not supposed to. Okay, so especially when we're singing in unison, all right, I want to make sure that everybody is singing the exact same note, all right, and they're singing in the exact same way. I listen for crescendos, all right, so every time we have long notes, we try to crescendo those long notes, because I don't like when long notes die at the end of them, all right. And finally, I listen for blending. I don't need the altos singing louder than the sopranos, and the sopranos singing louder than the altos. Another thing that's important to listen for is the tonality and the way people are singing. If that section has the melody of a song, I actually allow them to sing more nasally than the other sections. And if you're a soprano or the alto, you actually need to sing more breathy in your voice, so that your part is not piercing through when when the tenors have the melody. And I also try to make sure that whichever section has the melody, that section is heard a little bit more than the other sections, but not too much.
Right.
And so those are some things we focus on when leading a vocal rehearsal.
And that's really good. It's very important, and that I've seen in actually the last couple months is that you do have a separate rehearsal for your vocals. Even if your vocal team is just 3 or 4 people, it's great to pull them aside separately, whether it's a separate night or just while your band rehearses. So that way you can really pour into that team, even if it's just going over the parts and then looking at what David was saying about dynamics and crescendos and blending and all that. So that's awesome, man. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, and be sure to subscribe to stay updated on content. We'll have the logo right here. You can click that and hit subscribe, and then check out some of our other videos. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Remember, great worship leaders are always learning.
Thanks a lot.